I hear you loud and clear, brother. How are you? Dax McCarty joining the program right now. Appreciate his time here on our Inter Miami Radio Network. Obviously, Dax, folks, former MLS footballer, former United States men's national team footballer, and we all see him on Apple TV. Dax, first off, I saw what you said on MLS 360 with Luis in the box. Listen, I am a big Luis Suarez fan, but he did not get that first touch right, and he decided to go to ground.
Yeah, come on. Let's call a spade, Mike. You know, when you work in media, sometimes you have your biases here and there, but for the most part, there's nothing against Luis Suarez, but
No.
it was pretty clear as day that he went down. He took a bad first touch. Bradley Wright Phillips summed it up perfectly. We've all been there. I haven't been there a ton in the box. You know, usually I was the guy that was sitting outside the box waiting for scraps, but we could see from the replay, you know, it was a bad touch. He goes down. I don't even mind him going down, but don't grab your leg. There's nothing there, bud.
Yep.
Come on. Like, just move on. Keep it moving, Luis. I mean, he's been doing this for 20 years now, right? So it's just who he is. But, I mean, it doesn't take away from the fact that he's a wonderful player.
Now, Dax, we have a huge matchup tonight coming up with Inter Miami, the second leg of Nashville CONCACAF Champions Cup. In my personal opinion, tough draw for Inter Miami comparatively to maybe from what other teams got, especially winning the MLS. But where's your head at with this game tonight? Do you give the lead? Do you give the nod to Inter Miami being the home team, or do you think Nashville might have something in the tank for Inter Miami?
Yeah, Mike, it's a great game. We've come to expect now a little rivalry with Nashville and Inter Miami. Ever since both teams came into MLS at the same time in 2020, it seems like in a lot of knockout competitions, they always kind of see each other. It was right in the playoffs in 2020, and then it was CONCACAF Champions Cup last year, in the playoffs last year. So, you know, I think that Inter Miami should feel good about where they're at. I definitely think they're the favorites at home to win the game. But I said on MLS Countdown, I said, don't be surprised if Nashville SC pulls off an upset, because both teams got better in the offseason. Both teams added some significant pieces. But in year two, under BJ Callahan, it seems like that Nashville SC attack has really grown. And adding Christian Espinoza, a player who is so dynamic 1v1 out wide, really a player that Nashville had been missing for a number of years, it just brings another level and element to this attack. And I have no doubts that Inter Miami are going to get their chances, and they're probably going to score some goals tonight. But that Nashville SC attack is going to be able to counterpunch and go the other way and be very dangerous. And if Inter Miami fans or anyone watched that first leg in Nashville should have won the game. They had numerous opportunities in transition to really punish Miami. Miami seemed like they were a little bit sluggish. And I just wonder if not getting that away goal could come back to haunt Inter Miami, because if Nashville SC ends up finishing this game with a scoring draw, well, Nashville SC is going to go through on away goals. So I think this could be a banana peel for Inter Miami. They need to be really careful.
Now, Dax, let's stay there quickly on the away goals. Do you like that? Do you like that format with how away goals mean more? I don't. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think that it puts a little bit too much emphasis on if a team gets an away goal, then it changes the game, the complexion of the game so much. So I don't really love it, but that's the way it is. I think that you just have to adapt to the situation that you're in. And I was quite frankly a little bit surprised that Inter Miami did not do more last week to push Nashville SC to try to get that away goal. I thought they were a little bit toothless in the attack, which is weird talking about Inter Miami. I thought they didn't challenge Nashville SC's backline near enough. And the times that Messi got on the ball, that center back pairing of Jason Palacios and Maxwell Valedzi for Nashville SC, they really smothered him. And they did a really good job denying him the spaces that he wanted to go to. So that's going to be a big emphasis for tonight, I'm sure, with Nashville SC, that their midfield and Matthew Corcoran and Patrick Yazbek making a little box in there to be solid and not let Messi dictate the game. But guess what? Inter Miami's at home. Messi's going to find his chances. Nashville SC has to make sure that they deal with it in the same ways they did in leg one.
Dax McCarty, former MLS footballer and United States men's national team footballer, current Apple TV MLS broadcaster, is our guest here on Pink Smoke. I agree with you, partner. I thought Inter Miami, I was counting my chickens after that
Yeah.
game was, 0-0, and the performance that Dane St. Clair was able to put on. Where you at with Dane, Dax? Because I certainly, to begin the year, I mean, that LAFC game, I don't think he's played a worse game. And I've watched a lot of Dane
Yeah.
throughout MLS play. I thought that game against LAFC, I'm like, geez, they can't trot that brother out next game.
Yeah.
And then he's been better as the season's progressed. And Dax, I truly think that he was the reason Inter Miami was able to get a result in Nashville.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. And that's why they brought Dane St. Clair in. He has to be able to make the big saves in the big moments, because any team that I see right now with Inter Miami in terms of how they're built and how their roster is constructed with Lionel Messi up top and his ability to just attack and really take it easy defensively, Inter Miami is going to concede chances. They are going to give up chances going the other way. And too often, Oscar Ustari, he conceded soft goals. That's why he got benched, and Rocco Rios Novo came in and ended up helping them win MLS Cup, because he was making big time saves left and right. Dane St. Clair is a bigger, more athletic version of Rocco Rios Novo. And so he is going to be a more commanding presence in the box on crosses. He's going to be able to be a little bit longer in terms of getting to certain shots that maybe Rios Novo couldn't. But the one issue that I see for Dane St. Clair is just his ability playing out of the back with his feet and making sure that he's really comfortable in this Javier Mascherano setup and that he doesn't overcomplicate the game, because Rocco Rios Novo is really good with his feet. He's very comfortable playing out of the back. That's something Dane St. Clair spoke to us about a couple months ago. He just said, look, I'm better than I'm given credit for, because I was playing at Minnesota United and all I had to do was kick the ball as far as I could. Now I've got to pick out passes and be a little bit more composed. And I think you're seeing Dane St. Clair get more comfortable with every game he plays.
And Dax, this is a goalkeeper that's trying to prove to Jesse Marsh, the head gaffer of Canada, that he deserves to be in that net come World Cup time. I mean, and then we'll get to the World Cup in a second. But once again, folks, Dax McCarty joining us, former MLS footballer, Apple TV analyst, United States men's national team player. Dax, a lot of new for Inter Miami this year. I guess that's the easiest way I could put it. Sergio Busquets hanging up the boots. Jordi Alba hanging up the boots. Herman Berterame, the $15 million man coming over from Liga MX. Let's start with this. What have you liked the most from this newest version of Inter Miami that we've seen so far?
I think Rodrigo de Paul has taken on more responsibility in midfield with Sergio Busquets gone. He looks like he's refreshed, reinvigorated. I thought that he had a very underwhelming start to his Inter Miami career. It wasn't readily apparent to me how he fit into the system and what he actually brought to the team. Energy, of course, he always brings that, but I wanted to see more quality from a player that we know has quality. He's really taken on a bigger role this year for Inter Miami. Now, look, different player than Sergio Busquets, but I think that he is being asked to be more dangerous in the attack and get up and support the attack a little bit more and help Lionel Messi with some playmaking stuff, which I don't necessarily think is his strong suit, but if he's closer to goal, he can make things happen. We saw against DC United, he scored an absolutely fantastic goal in and around the box. I think he can bring that long distance shooting, the ability to combine with Messi, the understanding. And I really like Yannick Bright. I think he's one of the best quote unquote defensive midfielders in terms of breaking up possession for the opponent in the entire league. The one thing that you're missing right now with Inter Miami is a guy that's going to set the tempo for this team, a guy that's going to be able to dictate the rhythm of a game like a Sergio Busquets could. I think David Ayala could potentially be that player. He is a really smooth operator in midfield. He's very composed. It's just going to be a matter of getting him up to speed, getting him some more games. And then for me, a big part of it, because Inter Miami is going to score goals, it's just what do they look like defensively trying to defend in transition. I thought they were way too loose and way too open against DC United in the second half. And even Javier Mascherano spoke about it. They didn't have any control of the second half. And DC United was absolutely deserving of that goal they scored and potentially even getting out of there with a point, which, before the season, I would have thought this Inter Miami team would have ran them off the field 5-0. But there were numerous instances where Inter Miami had their fullbacks caught on the back post, numbers down. And if DC United's a little bit better in the attack in the final third, then they would equalize and they would have gotten something out of that game. So that's something that Javier Mascherano is going to continue to have to figure out with this defensive team.
Dax, I'm happy you brought that up because I've brought this up to numerous coworkers that cover Inter Miami football like me. The fullbacks are up with the attack, I think, tremendously. Too much.
Yeah.
Too many times I see Mikael and Maxi Falcone. By the way, Falcone not available tonight.
Right.
He's not going to be playing. But regardless, too many times Inter Miami, a team who loves to have possession, they get hit on the counter, and Mikael and Falcone are running for their life. So I think that's something Mascherano's working for. I laughed a little bit when he mentioned Yannick Bright being defensive. Partner, everybody's up. Everybody's up in these formations. Yeah. Rodrigo DePaul against DC United had the most touches around the box. There's 2 games in a row that he's had the most touches around the box. So I think tactically, Inter Miami's still trying to figure things out. Dax, obviously you went through a couple of things that you didn't like from the Inter Miami side, but what do you think's that one thing that they need to work on the most as they progress in this season and hopefully, are in the mix to win a CONCACAF Champions Cup, something they've never done?
Yeah, it's that attacking and that defending balance that you just spoke about. And Inter Miami is going to score goals. They're going to create chances. I don't think it matters how many numbers they actually send into the attack. If you have Lionel Messi and 3 or 4 runners off of him, you're going to create chances. He still has the best vision in all of Major League Soccer, potentially in the world still. Okay. Now, he doesn't move around like he used to. He doesn't have that same explosion and that same burst that he used to. I mean, there were numerous times, Mike, in leg 1 against Nashville where it was Messi against one of those center backs 1v1, and he can't get by them using his pace and his quickness like he used to. So Messi, he needs to combine with teammates in and around the box, and he needs players to run off him. That's why I really love them bringing back Tadeo Allende. Matteo Silvetti is also a player who needs to be on the field at times to be able to stretch backlines. And so I don't worry about Inter Miami when they attack. I would actually like to see them have more balance on the other side of the ball. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. If both fullbacks are in the attack and Rodrigo DePaul is in the attack and you have all your attacking players buzzing around all over the place, well, you have Yannick Bright and your 2 center backs there to put out fires. That's not enough. Right. You are going to get burned in transition. And so I would love to see Javier Mascherano say, hey, listen, let's have one fullback who's a little bit more pragmatic. One fullback stay closer to the center backs so you can defend with 4 players in transition. And then maybe you have a situation where there are games where Bertarame gets a rest and you put Messi as a false 9 and you move Rodrigo DePaul higher up the field. So then you can get Ayala on the field next to Yannick Bright. So there's more balance in midfield because Rodrigo DePaul, he's a little bit of a maverick. He just kind of goes and he kind of does his own thing and he'll pop
midfielder. Dax.
Yeah,
he'll know a little bit about that.
I do. He'll pop up. He'll pop up in the back line. He'll pop up right next to the striker. He'll pop up on the right. He'll pop up on the left. And you just need a little bit of balance sometimes, especially when you play against these better teams. I'll be really curious to see how they handle Nashville in transition tonight.
Yeah, I tremendously agree. And Dax McCarty is our guest here on Pink Smoke, former MLS and United States men's national team footballer, Apple TV analyst. Dax, when it comes to Germán Bertarame, I've heard a lot of people have takes about Germán. He's not scoring goals. He hasn't figured out the Inter Miami system. Partner, I personally disagree with that because if you look at the DC United goal Rodrigo DePaul had, that was all Bertarame winning the ball in the box, giving a great ball to Segovia, and then have a beautiful cross-keep finish by DePaul. Are you one of those? Are you one of those? I guess soccer analysts that thinks Bertarame is still trying to find his footing, or do you think he's fitting right in with this Inter Miami group?
Sorry, Mike. I got to go with the people against you here, man. I still think he's trying to find his footing, and I think that's really obvious to see.
Is that scoring goals? Is that the definitive reason Mascherano brought him in?
Yes. Yes. Okay. You cannot convince Inter Miami ownership. You cannot convince Lionel Messi. You cannot convince me or these supporters that Germán Bertarame was brought in to press fullbacks effectively and win the ball and just try to make passes in and around the box. Germán Bertarame is a really multifaceted player. I don't think he's been as bad as maybe some other people. I do think he has been fitting in okay in terms of build-up, in terms of defending and his pressing, and his attitude has been industrious. He's been fantastic, but he needs to score goals. Lionel Messi's not going to be able to shoulder that burden by himself. Luis Suarez, even at his age, he scored 17 goals last year in all competitions. Yeah. I mean, that's not nothing. And so from Bertarame, you're expecting at least 17, if not into the 20s, because I think he's got that quality. I think he will score goals, Mike, but my bigger concern with Bertarame right now is he's not finding chances. Usually, if Bertarame was finding chances and just missing, I would say that's going to even out in the long run. He will be able to put the ball in the back of the net. But right now, my biggest concern is he's not finding chances. And I definitely think that there is an element of like his teammates are still getting to know his movements. He's still trying to get on the same page with Messi. He's still trying to figure out how he can be most effective. And for him, I actually think he needs to stay between the box. He doesn't need to be going out wide. He doesn't need to be dropping into midfield. If he's being asked to defend, sure, do that. But he needs to be in the box where goals are scored, because if you watched him in Mexico, he was an absolute killer. He finished off everything and anything in and around the box when he got chances. It's why numerous MLS teams have tried to sign him in the past. He will figure it out. Inter Miami will figure it out. But right now, it's disjointed and it's a little bit underwhelming to start the season.
We got CONCACAF Champions Cup Leg 2 with Inter Miami and Nashville coming up next. We'll get Dax's prediction here at the end of the interview. Now, Dax, I did want to transition a bit into the World Cup. You've made caps. You were a captain of the United States men's national team before. For me, partner, just being a fan on the outside looking in, 02 was really when I started following this squad and the run that they were able to go. I was 8 years old. My dad and we were waking up and watching those games, partner. So I've had Taylor Twellman, I've had Sasha Question, I've had all of your buddies on here, partner, and I think we're all in agreement. I think you got to be one of the 8 with the group that the group that our United States men's national team are in. You don't know who you're going to play after that. That's the weird part. But, partner, having this be on home soil, having a quality manager like Mauricio Pochettino as the manager, I'm really putting that expectation on our lads to be one of the 8 teams left.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair at all.
Okay.
It took Mauricio Pochettino a little while to get the players on the same page, to try to figure out what is the best system that fits the players. It looks to me like he's figured out that he needs to play with a back 3, with 3 center backs and some aggressive wing backs and some dual 10s. That looks like the system that's going to get the best out of this team and out of these players. Based on current form, you would think that with the home support and the group that they got, this U.S. men's national team needs to get out of their group with no issues, and they need to win a knockout round game and probably 2 for it to be considered a success. So it's not going to be easy. Certainly, they've played Paraguay. They've played Australia recently, and those were really tough games. They were battles. The U.S. men's national team obviously were successful, but it's going to be different in the World Cup. There are going to be nerves. It's going to be a ton of pressure. And I think you're going to see a U.S. men's national team rise to the occasion. I know that there's a lot of skepticism around that team right now, but I'm in full agreement with you. I would love to see them get to the last 8. And then when you're there, you're playing with house money. Anything can happen.
Outside of our lads, Dax, who is kind of sticking out to you? I mean, obviously the Frances, the Portugals, the Spains. Is there a team you're kind of giving leadway to as we almost get to summer?
Yeah, I think Argentina, the defending champions, they have to be considered the favorite. Look, I think we're under no illusions that Lionel Messi, if he's fit, he's going to play in this last World Cup. This will be his last World Cup. So you've got a lot of emotional connection there for this Argentina team to defend their title and to send out the greatest player of all time on a high. So I absolutely think they're going to be in the mix. France is probably top to bottom the most talented national team out there. They could field 2 separate 11s and still be competitive and still go on to potentially win the tournament. So those 2 are the favorites for sure. You have England, who's always going to challenge. Spain and Germany are always fun to watch. They always have exciting players that are going to make things complicated for the opponent. And a dark horse team is Morocco. I mean, Morocco qualifying out of Africa, they are one of the most fun team to watch. And they've got great balance in their team. They defend well, but they attack well. They've just got so many fun players to watch who are tricky. That is not going to be a fun team to face in the knockout rounds. Keep an eye on Morocco.
And then obviously them making it all the way to one of the final 4 teams in last year's World Cup, quality all over the place. Partner, did you see the business with them, the Senegal business, and them releasing Senegal from the championship that they won at what that? You're going to, Dax, you explain that one to me?
I can't because honestly, I have no idea why they did that. I remember seeing the scenes about what happened. There was some sort of massive like VAR penalty confusion. One team
Yeah.
walked off the field and then the other team came back on. It was chaos. It was utter chaos. And so I the news just came out today that they
Yeah.
overturned it and gave it to Morocco. I don't know enough about why they did that to really speak on it in an educated way and to try to
Mhm.
tell you exactly what
Yeah,
happened.
it's just
I
like
just don't. I'm not a big
yeah.
fan of a result happening in a game being over and a team lifting a trophy, and then unless something egregious happened, you then retroactively take it away from that team who won it. It just feels a little bit weird to me, and I definitely need to know a little bit more about the situation. But
Mhm.
initial thoughts, don't like it.
It's just like usually like, oh, it's because the team cheated. They had this player who wasn't supposed to be playing. I don't think I saw any of that. That was the first time for me. Now, partner, before I let you go, I gotta ask. I'm a diehard Manchester United fan. My dad took me to a game when I was 10, and I think it may be Chicago, where I saw Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, and all the boys pre-Ronaldo. I was sold. I've been a fan since. Now,
Yep.
do you have an allegiance to? Obviously, we love our MLS. I mean, part of you've played for a ton of MLS teams in your
Yep.
career, but do you have a team in European football that you gravitate to?
Mike, I'm a sicko like you, man. I'm a Man United fan. I
Yeah!
love to I,
Finally!
I love to torture myself on a regular basis. My favorite player growing up. I had a couple, obviously, but I loved watching Zidane. But the
Mm,
minute I set eyes on Paul Scholes, that Ginger Prince, and what he was doing in a Man United jersey, and the fact that he was just an all-around midfielder who could do everything. He was just as he had the ability to get a crazy red card and go into a leg-breaking tackle with someone as he would be able to bang one in from 30 yards out in the top corner. And
yep.
I just loved watching him, and I tried to model my game after him a little bit to a very poor effect. But
Come on.
that made me fall in love with Man United. So yes, I'm a glutton for
Yeah.
punishment like you. Maybe
I
we're back. I don't know. Maybe
I'm
we're back.
listen, I'm not one of those guys, oh, it looks too much like Ollie ball. Listen, if Carrick gets us into Champions League, brother, you got to bring him back. I
I
don't
think
care.
so. I
I
think
don't
so.
care. You got to bring him back.
He's the
Now,
right man for the job.
once again, Dax McCarty, former MLS and United States men's national team footballer, Apple TV analyst. We all see him. Now, Dax, did I see something that you're going to be calling games now too for Apple TV? Did I see
Yeah,
that
man.
right?
I'm going back and forth. Me and Sasha Kleshchen, we do 1 week in the studio.
Love it.
So he's in the studio. Excuse me. I'm calling a game. So I've called 2 games already under my belt. I loved it. I love being back in stadiums. I've got Atlanta United, DC United this weekend.
Amazing. So we could all see Dax there. And then final last thing, I promise, partner. Appreciate all the time. Final score tonight, and does Lionel Messi score goal number 900 in front of the home fans tonight?
Lionel Messi does score tonight. Final result is going to be 2-2. Nashville SC goes through on away goals.
Ah, Dax for the Inter Miami Radio Network. You
I'm
can't do that.
sorry. I'm sorry. I got to call it
It's
like I
okay.
see it.
Listen,
Now, I could look
you're
stupid, but
it's okay. You're a proper United fan, partner. So you're all forgiven on this show.
love it.
And you are welcome back anytime, my friend. Appreciate all
Appreciate
the
you, man.
time and looking forward to watching you on your game this weekend, okay?
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you having me.
Yep, that was Dax McCarty. Appreciate all the time from him. Folks, I got to take a time out. This is your Inter Miami Radio Network.